everybody. Welcome. My name is Tomana Mora. I'm going to be interviewing today Ella Wager from Invest Puerto Rico. We're going to be learning and asking Ella some questions about Invest Puerto Rico and also about herself and her role with the organization. So, Ella, please tell us a little bit about you and a little bit more about Invest Puerto Rico.
Thank you, Tuana. It first of all, it really is a pleasure to be here. I was looking forward to this interview. So thank you for that intro. So, my name is Ella Woger Nieves. I born and raised in San Juan, Puerto Rico. And I've had several stints living and studying in the United States, specifically Miami, Philadelphia, and DC. And I recently, around 3 years ago, I came back for a job opportunity to essentially lead the operational aspect of Invest Puerto Rico. So Invest Puerto Rico is a nonprofit organization. It was essentially created to attract investment to the island. And our mission is really to promote Puerto Rico as a competitive investment jurisdiction to attract new business and capital investment to the island. And so we do this by really positioning Puerto Rico and highlighting the assets that the island has to offer, such as the incredibly highly trained, bilingual, bicultural, very resilient talent, the geographic access that because Puerto Rico sits between the Americas and the Caribbean, we have a very strategic location that provides access to Latin American markets and US markets. We have a thriving business ecosystem that supports entrepreneurs, men and women alike. We have competitive business incentives for businesses. And all this is really anchored in a very multicultural and diverse environment. And so we work, based on a strategy focused on industries and markets that represent really key sectors for Puerto Rico, where Puerto Rico is better positioned to attract new business. And we serve as that initial point of contact for investors. We work with government agencies and the private sector to really support a company's relocation or expansion process to the island. So I came here just as a personal note. I was part of the Puerto Rican diaspora. I've lived here. I've lived in Puerto Rico here all my life. And even though I've had several stints in the island, we are very proud Puerto Ricans. And so I was part of that diaspora that came back. I was very fortunate to have this incredible job opportunity to lead the formation and the design of Invest Puerto Rico. So came back 3 years ago, and very proud to be able to contribute to my island and to the economic transformation of the island. So very happy to be here and share some of those assets with the women here at the Women's Economic Forum.
Ella, I really appreciate you sharing all this information with us and everybody that's watching us today. It sounds like Invest Puerto Rico is, you have a great role in the island and also a great responsibility of being that point of contact and communication, and also making sure that the companies have a good transition moving into the island. I'm curious to know, how long has the organization been established?
Yeah, so the organization was created by law back in 2017. And historically, the function of business attraction was performed by the government of Puerto Rico, by the Department of Economic Development and Commerce. Back in 2017, they decided to essentially externalize a function of business attraction, and they create by law a nonprofit organization, a private independent nonprofit organization. And we have a board of directors, which is basically 11 members, 3 members from the public sector and 8 members from the private sector, really representing different types of industries, from the manufacturing sector to the technology sector to the financial sector. And, together with the board, we work on driving economic development for Puerto Rico. So we are, in and of ourselves, we are a startup. We're a very young organization, and it's a tall order, right? We are essentially driving the economic transformation of Puerto Rico, but it's a very exciting opportunity. And everybody that works here is just we hold this cause very dear to our heart, and we've been working at it for a little over 2.5 years now.
Oh, great, great. Thank you. I actually was watching a video of you earlier speaking at the El San Juan, I think in 2019, that
Yes,
very
very
excited. I'm
beginning.
sorry?
Yes.
Yes. And you were talking about that, after Maria got this sort of like a press and its awareness, like all of the sudden, Puerto Rico is an island that's part of the US and people didn't know about it, which Maria was a disaster and it very impacted a lot of lives, but it the same way has brought a lot of positive things to Puerto Rico. Since that talk in 2019, and now we're in 2021, that Puerto Rico has not only been through Maria, but now through COVID as well. How do you feel like COVID has impacted and all the things that between also the earthquakes, um, those things have impacted business and investments in Puerto Rico?
Yeah, we definitely have had our fair share of natural disasters, right? We're an island and we're right, in that trajectory. But incredibly enough, we are a very resilient community. And I've got to say that, I came here post Maria, and it's incredible how resilient the Puerto Rico community and the business ecosystem is here. And while what you saw in the media was catastrophic, right? You had an island that was devastated by this hurricane. A year later, the stories were completely different. What was coming out in the media was very different because Puerto Rico really picked up, and the business ecosystem really picked up, and was really working for the economic transformation of the island. We are part of the U.S., so we are receiving many federal funds that are helping in the reconstruction of the island. So it's a very exciting time, because we're transforming the economic ecosystem in Puerto Rico. And so, we always say the time for investment is now. You're going to get community here. But I want to say, we did the pandemic, interestingly enough, Tuana, it really elevated Puerto Rico's important position as a solution to the U.S. reshoring efforts to bring back manufacturing of life-critical goods, such as pharmaceuticals and protective equipment to the island. We have been a pharmaceutical powerhouse for the past 60 years. We have a very strong legacy when it comes to pharmaceuticals and medical devices. And so when the pandemic hit, we pivoted our strategic focus. Historically, since we started, our strategic promotion plan was based on the knowledge service economy. So, we're talking about technology, we're talking about financial services, la economía del conocimiento, right? It really is about attracting, those professional services, those technology, IT, data programming, software. And when the pandemic hit, it really gave us, an opportunity to pivot and prioritize critical sectors such as bioscience, which is an area that Puerto Rico has historically had a vast experience in. And so, the development opportunities in this sector really strengthened Puerto Rico's role as a manufacturing and R&D center to maintain the continuity of the supply chain, and support the U.S. reshoring efforts. In addition, I do want to mention that during the peak of the pandemic, we redoubled our efforts to host and participate in many, I would say probably to this date, since the pandemic hit, we've been in probably around 50 virtual conferences and trade shows, to continue to evangelize Puerto Rico's value proposition among stakeholders. So, I feel we've been more productive than ever, because I think the pandemic has given us an opportunity and has put Puerto Rico on the map when it comes to the bioscience sector, which really was at the core of our legacy. And we've had so much vast experience over the past 60 years that it just elevated the opportunity to really further promote that value proposition.
Great. Thanks for sharing that. Now that you mentioned a lot about the science and the pharmaceutical companies, how has Invest Puerto Rico have contributed on expansion or disinvolvement of those sectors in the island?
Absolutely. So, in our capacity as an investment promotion organization, we seek to attract outside companies, right, that can really help strengthen the island's current, science and technology ecosystem. So the bioscience industry, as I mentioned before, is a very strategic sector on the island. And this sector continues to evolve, and technology assumes a greater role in its development. And so we have a strong network of world-class STEM professionals with decades of experience, and this only ensures that companies produce high-quality products and limit the business risk. And the manufacturing and life science industries have direct access to a wide range of incentives that reduce operating costs, that improve the ROI, the return on investment, and basically free up capital for other initiatives. And so when you add these business advantages to the growing pool of health science professionals and STEM professionals, Puerto Rico's value as a premier destination for the bioscience industry really just shines through. And, from a technology standpoint, I do want to earmark that Puerto Rico is quickly becoming one of the most attractive locations, for startup and established tech companies. The island stands to be a global model in rolling out cutting edge tools to enable blockchain, artificial intelligence, AI, the Internet of Things, IoT. You have all these acronyms here, but these things are all really designed to transform nearly every single sector, from financial services to bioscience to aerospace. And technology, really represents the changes imminent in this fourth industrial revolution, if you will. And so, the implementation of all of these tools has really been a critical priority for Puerto Rico, to really in its economic diversity and development and competitiveness. And, we recognize we're an island, right? We're not in the continental US, or we're not part of Latin America. And so advances, in these fields wouldn't be possible without a supportive information and communications technology network. And so because we're an island, we depend on our ability to communicate with the world to do business. And as such, companies benefit from an extensive island-wide 0G to 5G network. We have broadband access. We have broad satellite connections that ensure producers are connected to suppliers, to customers, to business partners. And so Puerto Rico's tech expertise nationally, and its unique international banking policies as well, and the growing demand for effective financial solutions and resources has really led to a boom in innovative fintech and investing services. And this really extends to every single industry here. And so, I do want to say that, innovation and communication technology is really an important part of Puerto Rico's economic matrix, if you will. We are aware that entrepreneurship is key to any economic venture. We know that. And that really great change comes from innovation. And so this is the reason why the island is one of the main proponents of startup culture, and why so many incubators and business accelerators are coming here, and they're making Puerto Rico home, and they're making it a hub for all entrepreneurs. And this precisely includes women entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I agree with you, Ella. I'm actually on the tourism industry, and I think COVID was a great thing for the tourism in Puerto Rico because, all the travel restrictions, people started researching, and they found that Puerto Rico is an island that's part of the U.S., so you don't have to go through all the hassle of testing. But what I hear for a lot of my customers that come to tour with us and explore Puerto Rico is how surprised they are that a Caribbean island is so developed, so organized. Yeah. And when they compare, unfortunately, with the other smaller Caribbean islands, they say, wow, I had no idea how in technology Puerto Rico's advanced, and in structurally, infrastructure, how advanced compared to the other islands. So I think that's definitely an advantage that Puerto Rico has. And
absolutely. I just wanted to mention that it's interesting, you mentioned tourism, and a lot of people think that because we're an island, that tourism is our main source, right, of economic activity. And actually, 50% of Puerto Rico's GDP is manufacturing, while only around 7 or 8% is tourism. So this is a very industrialized island, and it has been like that since the 1960s. So I understand, why people come here and they're surprised, but it's, we do have a legacy of the manufacturing sector for many, many years. And not only that, we have these emerging sectors like technology and fintech that are really becoming strong on the island right now. So, this is all, it's very exciting here. These are exciting times for the island.
I know, and I feel super excited too because I grew up in the States. So I'm also a person that came to Puerto Rico to establish a business myself. And I didn't realize until I moved to the island that there is so much opportunities here for the people on the island and for others that are thinking of investing in Puerto Rico.
Absolutely.
I wanted to pick your brain, and now that we're like on this topic of like investing in Puerto Rico and the opportunities, which which area in which industry do you think it needs a little more push or that has more opportunity? Um, do you have anyone that you could pick, or you would say all of them?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think they're very exciting sectors. I think even, we do have, as an organization, we have a promotion plan, a very research and data driven promotion plan. Because we want to also be very targeted, and we know what our assets are, and we know how we compare perhaps to other jurisdictions, and our promotion strategic plan is really multi-pronged. And it addresses a variety of sectors. The knowledge service economy, as I mentioned at the very beginning, is something that is really at the core of our strategic plan. And then we went and we pivoted to include the bioscience sector because it really is, one of the main sectors that we have. But technology, I want to earmark technology in particular because it really is a priority. The island's growing innovation and entrepreneurship ecosystem is really on the rise. I've got to say that I left for a job opportunity. I left Puerto Rico in 2013, and I came back in 2018 to lead, to be the CEO of Invest Puerto Rico. And when I was looking around, I mean, there's so many exciting tech. The business ecosystem here is thriving. You have so many accelerators and incubators, and it really is exciting to see, the younger folks come in and pitch their ideas. There is a scene that wasn't necessarily happening before. And so that's why I want to earmark technology and the entrepreneurial ecosystem here, because, it really is on the rise. And particularly with the ever increasing investments in technology and broadband infrastructure, just to give you an idea, we have the Puerto Rico 5G zone, which is a public-private partnership that brings together industry, academia, and government to eliminate the risk of doing business-oriented 5G investments. There's been a lot of improvement in logistics and operations for pharmaceutical and medical device manufacturer through data connectivity. And so I do want to, really emphasize this sector because it is a very promising and emerging sector here on the island. And one thing that I wanted to highlight here is that we continually develop initiatives to highlight Puerto Rico's value proposition and essentially facilitate, the process of doing business on the island. And we've recently launched Impeller, which is essentially an exclusive online resource that provides just an ever-growing list of business opportunities for companies seeking to access investment opportunities within and outside the island. And so what this tool does, it facilitates the flow of capital through a valuable tool that greatly impacts Puerto Rico's economic transformation. So it's kind of like a matchmaking. You have projects here on the island that need capital, and you have investors that are coming in, and we're basically kind of doing that matching in terms of matching the opportunity to the investor. So what much of this work is to enable those connections that lead to investment, and this new portal really accomplishes that. And I encourage everybody to really check it out. It's called Impeller, and so it's one of the other things that's really going to allow that transformation and drive investment in those specific sectors that I just mentioned.
Oh, thank you so much, Ella. And it sounds like that's the Impeller program. It seems to be a great opportunity for not only people that are thinking of investing in Puerto Rico, but business entrepreneurs in the island that Puerto Rico need to get an opportunity to expand and grow their business.
Absolutely. And that was precisely the idea behind it. We recognize that there are a lot of people here with great ideas, but that just needed the funds to be able to jumpstart their businesses. And at the other hand, we're bringing in many investors that are looking that, they really want to look and invest in opportunities on the island. So what better way to do this than to create a tool that matches those two? So it's a win-win situation for the folks here in Puerto Rico and for the investors that are outside the island.
I love it, love it, love it. What a great program, and I can't wait to check it
Yeah.
out and sign myself up as well.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for a lot of us women that are starting up business in Puerto Rico, and going through the struggles of not only being a wife, a mother, but also starting up a business, which is incredibly difficult. So having that support, especially financially, it takes some of that burden. I'm curious to know if within that program, or even Invest Puerto Rico, since we're speaking in the largest women conference for the Caribbean, do you think there's an opportunity for women to grow in certain sectors, or have an opportunity to match with some of these investors that can contribute some of the Puerto Rican women that are establishing business here in the island?
Absolutely. This program, the Impeller tool is open to everyone. But I do want to talk about specifically, since we're in this wonderful WF event. I do want to talk about how we are creating those economic development opportunities for women. Our mission really is to attract investment and new companies to the island, right? To create jobs, to promote Puerto Rico's economic development. But this focus on attracting business to Puerto Rico is basically what prompts Invest Puerto Rico to participate in conferences such as the Women's Economic Forum, because what we're trying to do here is raise awareness of the island as a viable investment destination, for both men and women that are seeking to come and relocate their operations to the island. And so our role is always to position Puerto Rico in key markets as this competitive investment destination, highlighting the assets that the island offers. And, it's especially important for businesswomen, interested in creating their companies, because, we really have, I was mentioning before about our assets. What are those assets? What is that value proposition? And I think it's particularly interesting for women because we have a highly trained, bilingual, bicultural talent and very educated, highly educated. I want to say that more women here graduate from the University of Puerto Rico in Mayagüez in all courses of study than men. And about a third of all engineering graduates from the University of Puerto Rico Mayagüez are women, placing the university at the top of the list among U.S. universities. And women outnumber men by almost 10% in Puerto Rico in obtaining a university degree. Our female engineers from the universities continue to top the percentage of Hispanic teachers and the percentage of advanced engineering degrees among Hispanics. So I want to say that this talent is very much made up of women, right? And that, along with the geographic position, the business ecosystem. I want to talk a bit about the business ecosystem because, as I mentioned, before, this island features a lot of support organizations, accelerators, incubators, business education resources, and entities specifically focused on the development of women-led businesses. And so that's very important because it's important for women entrepreneurs to know that there's going to be a support system for them here if they come and they relocate their business to the island. And so, tying this all together, all these businesses, we're trying to attract all these companies to relocate in Puerto Rico. And this really is going to drive the creation there's going to expand the talent opportunities for all business owners, including women. So the creation of jobs that women can tap into. So it kind of goes full circle here. We're promoting the island as an investment destination, but in turn, these folks are coming in here and they're creating job opportunities for women and men alike.
It's great. I was muted. It's great to have an organization like yours that can support those incoming entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, and also have an organization like WEF, the Women Economic Forum, that can, support some more, and it's incredibly important. And I think like one of the greatest things and the most beautiful things about us women, that we're willing to help each other grow and succeed. So this is a great thing that I hope that continues to go on and just support even more women in the island. um,
Yeah,
Go for it.
I actually wanted to add something to that, Tawana, because I think, this empowering women is something that really, this really starts within, right? The concept of inclusion to empower women entrepreneurs starts within Invest Puerto Rico, an organization, because at the end of the day, the fulfillment of our mission is really relying on the talent of our own human capital. And that's why, we seek to enrich our organization with high caliber professionals. And at every single level, and we're a small organization, but at every level, we have more. Actually, there are more women than men in Invest Puerto Rico, and in in the leadership team, there are actually more men than women as well. And so we have a large participation of women across all levels, from administration to management, in addition to in our board of directors. And I'm particularly proud. I was living out, in the United States, and I came back and I was asked by the board of directors to help put this together. And so it was not only was that a source of pride for me because it was a woman coming here, it was also a Puerto Rican woman coming here back to the island and being able to help them to form the design and the structure of the organization. But it is very important for us to reflect the fact that this theme about empowering women for us really begins within the organization. And that's something that we strive to reflect.
Thank you so much, Ella. I appreciate you adding that on, because this is an event that is focused on the women in the island, focused on the women in the Caribbean. Yeah. And so, hearing from you, from having your position and your experience for such a important organization on the island, I think it touches my heart to know that it's your goal and your focus as an organization to support entrepreneurs like myself that are just starting up and looking to grow. We would like to know, how can women look for Invest Puerto Rico's, what kind of resources they can obtain from Invest Puerto Rico, and who they should contact after watching us chat about all these opportunities in the island.
Absolutely. So, I want to encourage, all the women to check out our website. Our website is www.investpr.org. It has a plethora of information. There information about our sectors, the different sectors that we're focusing on. It has information about Invest Puerto Rico. It has information about the folks that you can reach if you have a business opportunity. We have a business development team that is ready, willing, and able to answer any questions that you may have. And everybody here, we're all in business development, right? Whether you talk to the director of finance or you talk to the chief marketing officer or the chief of business development, we all do. We all serve our client investors, and we'll be happy to really help navigate, first educate about the value proposition of Puerto Rico, but also help investors, help women understand what it is, what's the process for establishing an operation on the island. That's what we're here for. We're that point of contact, and we help people navigate the process of establishing a company on the island. So, first and foremost, check out our website. There's so much information there that I encourage you to do some night reading, while you are, if you're interested in learning more about the island, and contact us through the webpage. And, we will be happy to address any of the questions you may have.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ella. Really appreciate your time sharing all this information with us today. If you guys are looking for more information about Ella, please visit their website, investpr.com. And
Dot
thank
org.
you.
Dot org.
.org. I'm
Dot
sorry.
org. No worries.
investpr.org. Thank you. Thank
Thank
you
you,
all.
Tawana. It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure to be here.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.